So this is a video explaining about the three Pythagorean identities and where they come from. And the main thing is they all come from the unit circle and the definitions of sine and cosine. Remember, cosine is the x value where the angle crosses the unit circle, and sine is the y value where it crosses the unit circle. And the equation of the unit circle is given by x squared plus y squared equals 1. Now, make sure you remember that in the picture, x is cosine, y is sine, and so if we do a substitution, instead of saying x squared plus y squared equals 1, we put cosine in for x and sine in for y. We end up with cosine squared plus sine squared equals 1. That is the first Pythagorean identity. Now we have a shorthand way of writing this. This is the shorthand way of writing this. It means the exact same thing. All right, so that's the most famous Pythagorean identity, and there are actually two more. So if we take this equation right here and divide everything by cosine squared, right? Cosine squared divided by cosine squared, sine squared divided by cosine squared, 1 divided by cosine squared. We end up with this. And this, of course, is just 1. Sine squared over cosine squared. Remember, tangent is sine over cosine, so that turns into tangent squared. We ended up with this. And, of course, 1 over cosine squared is secant squared because secant is 1 over cosine. And that's the second Pythagorean identity. So this is what we have so far. And let's find the last one. So this time we're going to divide by sine squared. We're going to divide this equation right here by sine squared. So pretty much the same process, except this time this first term is cotangent squared. Here's our 1 again, and this is cosecant squared. So we end up with that simplification. And that's our last Pythagorean identity. All right, so here they are. Cosine squared plus sine squared is 1. 1 plus tangent squared is secant squared. Cotangent squared plus 1 is cosecant squared. Now, you do need to memorize this, and I put this memorization in quotations because I haven't memorized them. What I've done is made sure I know this process. I go through this algebraic process every single time. If I want to know what the Pythagorean identity is that has tangent squared in it, I go through the process. Anyways, you do need to know these. My suggestion is to understand them, not memorize them, but here they are.